It's the time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of perhaps the world's most important newsletter, CoinDesk State of Crypto. Hey, Nick. Happy hump day.
Hey, good morning.
How are you? Tornado Cash. It seems like there's kind of a tornado whirlwind going on right now because developer Alexey Pertsev is back doing some updates. What's going on with the Dutch courts there, where they're having a little bit of a legal issue?
Yeah, so this is via our colleague Jack Schickler this morning, who reported that Alexey Pertsev has been given permission to question Chainalysis, which apparently has provided some evidence for prosecutors in the Netherlands. Quick background for those of our audience who may not be familiar. Alexey Pertsev is the Tornado Cash developer who was arrested last year shortly after the U.S. sanctioned Tornado Cash. He was arrested, and initially he wasn't charged with anything, just kind of held in detention, but later he was charged with money laundering allegations. So he's now fighting back against these allegations. One of the big questions is the charge simply because of his work writing code for Tornado Cash, or is there more to it? But it seems he'll now have a chance to try and figure out what exactly evidence is supporting these allegations.
So, and that's why he wants Chainalysis. He wants what Chainalysis information is on that. Correct? I mean, like, what's he hoping?
Right.
What hint does he have that there's anything that might help his case?
According to Jack's reporting, part of it might just be that he wants to know what transactions Chainalysis has alleged are is evidence of him conducting illicit money laundering activities. So it could be trying to verify the addresses of the wallets that are involved, or trying to figure out how they tied the wallets to him, something like that. But either way, we'll have a better answer of this, or better answer to this rather, in a couple of months. It seems like the next hearing has been set for June.
I want to zoom out just a bit. This case has really highlighted a few things for the industry, and some are protesting, saying that, this is an attack on technology. It's an attack on open source code. Talk to us a little bit about what happens next in the legal process and what this means for an industry that's built on open source code and that really prides themselves on privacy.
Yeah, so taking the second part first, right? If he has indeed been arrested simply for writing code for Tornado Cash, and he's being accused of money laundering because people use Tornado Cash for that purpose, that's probably not a good sign for the industry at large, especially in countries where that is something that can happen. One of the big contrasts with the U.S. when the Netherlands arrested Pertsev is, in the U.S. you can't just be arrested and charged without being indicted on specific charges or specific counts for months at a time. So that was a big concern early on. And again, just for writing the open source code, I think is a pretty big flare, warning flare for people who are trying to figure out, okay, should we contribute to other DAOs? Do we want to work on anonymity or privacy transactions? Do we want to work on this kind of issue at all? So, to answer your second part of your question, definitely there are some concerns there. If he has indeed been charged with something more specific, if he was actively involved or is allegedly actively involved in directly, laundering money and funds, that's a different story. But based on the information we have right now, all we know is that he was a developer and he was charged with money laundering. So, doesn't lead to a positive conclusion for the industry. As far as the next steps in the legal process, we do know there's a hearing coming up again in a couple of months in the summer. So, this has been a long case already. This began last summer, so almost a year now, and we're still, again, not really any closer to figuring out what exactly he has been accused of doing. We don't know if, like I just said, if he's been charged with actively, specifically laundering funds on his own, or if it's just because of the code he wrote, or if there's something more to it. Hopefully we get an answer to that. As the trial begins in earnest, right now we're still kind of just going through status hearings and update hearings that are looking at things like bond and the evidentiary record. But hopefully we'll get a better picture of what evidence the Dutch prosecutors are using and what that might imply for his case within the next couple of hearings.
All right, we'll have to wait and see what happens next. We should note that Chainalysis did not immediately respond to CoinDesk for a request for comment on this story. Nick, thanks for joining us. It was a pleasure as always. That was CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for that newsletter that Lawrence coins as the greatest of all time, State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com.